Hey guys, welcome to Living the Logic. This is Professor Manish Narayan, and today I'm going to walk you guys through a no-code agentic AI solution for stock analysis. All right, so basically I had a lot of requests come in requesting, a low-code or no-code approach to agentic AI and agentic workflows. So for those of you who are, just getting into AI and agentic flows and want to start out, without a heavy code base like a Python library or Python packages. So you can take advantage of Langflow. All right, so that's what I'll be showing you today. Um, you can see in front of me, I have the high level design set up. So you'll see how quickly we can set up a complex agentic workflow without any heavy code. And then we can actually host this entire pipeline as an API. So if you want to rapidly build and prototype agents, multi-agent systems that talk to each other, connected to different LLMs and different tools, I think this is a way to go without heavy, development on the back end side. So high level, you have a user. They're going to enter like a stock symbol, for example, get me info, for an investment on Apple or Tesla, right? They'll input that as if they're talking to a chatbot. That input will go to a news analyst agent who specializes in market news and sentiment. All right, we're going to take advantage of some tools here. Our go-to will be Yahoo Finance API to get the news, and then if that fails, to get us info, we'll fall back to the SERP search API. Okay, so and I'll show you what to do in order to set these up. Once the news analyst is finished with its analysis and comes up with a response, it'll feed that into the technical analyst agent. All right. And now this agent's going to analyze the price trends and technical context. Again, taking advantage and leveraging the tools from Yahoo Finance and SERP Search API. All right. The next agent that comes into the play is the fundamentals analyst agent, who's going to evaluate the business and valuation context. All right. So once these agents are done talking to each other and passing the relevant information, that data is going to be finally fed to a chairperson agent who's going to synthesize and perform a little bit more analysis and generate an output and a structured investment summary. Okay, and that'll flow into the output. So high level, I'll show you how to install Langflow, set up your API keys, and then get started with Langflow. And this will be all running locally on your machine, and you can host this as an API. So let's get started. So the very first thing you want to do is head over to langflow.org/desktop. You can get a free, again, this is all free. So you can fill out your basic info and you'll be, the next screen asks to download the version of Langflow you need for your operating system. I'm using Windows for this course. So I have Langflow installed and I'll show you that in a moment. All right, you're also going to need some API keys. Um, Feel free to set up a new account on platform.openai.com. If you're going to use if you already have keys from a different LLM provider, feel free to use that. I'm using OpenAI for this course. So you're going to generate a new secret key. I've already done that, Langflow, and I've saved that to my notepad. Okay. You're also going to need to set up a free account with SERP API in order to get a key. Okay. So if you go to SERP API, you can sign up. I believe you get 250 searches free, okay, for the monthly searches. So again, there you can generate an API key and take note of that. All right, and that's about it. So once you download Langflow and just click install, basically just ask for your email, and once that's done, you should see the Langflow window here. Okay, if you want to, change the theme, you can make it dark mode. Okay, if that's easier on the eyes. And what you're going to do is set up your first flow. So you're going to click on Create First Flow. Okay, And again, they have some templates built in. I'm going to go ahead and choose blank flow here. All right, so you get a blank flow. So now notice on the left side, you get a lot of components that are out of the box. You have input and output components like chat input, chat output. You have text input, text output, webhooks. All right, you have various data sources here. You can make an API request. You can, mock data, connect to a SQL database. Do a web search or input a URL. Okay. Agents. All right. So we're going to be using the basic agent component here. Again, there are more complex flavors here, like MCP tools um, and different language model settings. Right. We'll just need a basic agent for now. Okay. If you wanted to do some file processing, like let's say upload a resume, right? Have users upload their resume. You can extract the text from that file and then feed it into an agent that's going to summarize the resume or check against the job description to match the candidates. So again, various use cases that can help you automate your workflows with a low code approach, right? Low code or no code approach. Okay. You get some processing, data operations, parsers, some text helpers. Okay, you got some logical flow control components. You can start to loop, have an agent, loop through some actions. Um, listen for data, voice. Okay, notifications. All right, and again, there are plenty of components. You can also create a custom component. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is get our playground set up and get our stock analysis multi-agent flow set up. All right, so before we get started with the multi-agent workflow for the stock analysis tool, I'm going to show you a very basic flow where you take advantage of an agent, some file operations, and let's say we wanted to rate a job candidate using their resume against a job description. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start out with an input, a chat input here. Okay, and this chat input, we're going to just call this the job description. Okay, so we'll feed that in when we run this. So that job description will go into an agent. All right, so the next thing we want to do is grab our agent here, drag that over. Okay, and we can just rename that to our resume agent. Okay, resume analysis agent. Right, and I'm going to use OpenAI. So I'm going to make sure to grab our key. Right, so I'm going to copy my key that I have, and we'll use the GPT-4o mini model. Okay, let me zoom out a bit. Okay, and basically we're going to feed in some instructions to this agent. All right, so here notice I'm going to remove the default instructions, and we're going to say you are an AI assistant that helps rank candidates based on their resumes against a given job description. Okay. All right, so let's just inform the agent you will be given the following. Okay, a resume in text or structured format using the read file tool. Okay, and then a job description as input from chat. Okay, and basic tasks, right? So your tasks are one, just basically score the match between the resume and job description on a scale of, let's say, 0 to 100%, and that's like a match score. Okay, and we'll say consider keywords, skills, experience, education, tools, and responsibilities. Okay, very simple, basic instructions for our agent. Click on Finish Editing. Okay, so remember the job description is going to go as an input to the agent. Okay, the agent's also we're going to output the results, so we can take the agent response, feed it into the chat output. Okay, and now we can take advantage of the file reader. So read file tool. Okay, we can drag that over, move that a little bit to the left. Okay, and now remember agents rely on tools, input, and instructions. So we set up the input, we set up the instructions, and now you can click on this read file component and convert it to a tool mode. So I'm going to toggle that. All right, I'm going to select some files. Let's just say my latest resume. Okay, and what we're going to do is feed this tool set into the tools of the agent. All right, now look how quickly, without any code, we set up a resume analysis agent. Okay, so I'm going to click on Playground here. Click on Playground, and remember the input, we need to feed it job description. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sample job description. Let's just say a director of engineering job description here, and I'll copy the job description. So job, I'm going to paste that over here. One moment. Okay, let me copy this pretty long job description. That's fine. Again, I just Google searched director of engineering job, paste that in there, and click on send. So notice now our AI shows the steps. Oh, that's pretty quick. So it parsed my resume um, and scored, give it a total score calculation. All right, final score, I'll say capped at 100%. So the candidate is highly qualified for the director of software engineering position, scoring a perfect 100%. Notice that the agent went through. Okay, you can look at what the agent was doing. There's an input. That's the job description I pasted. Okay, and then there's the output here. Okay, it took my resume basically. Okay, it took my resume, all my experience there, and provided a score breakdown, technical expertise, DevOps, CI/CD, workflow, data engineering, financial services, leadership, and so on. And it combined a basic score. Now you can make this, customize the prompt, make it more sophisticated, according to your liking. So again, very basic agent. This is just a single agent, depending and or leveraging tools. Okay, you can add multiple tools to the agent, and I'll show you that in the next set where I'll set up the stock analysis multi-agent flow and a job description as an input, and we got a response. Okay, now we'll move on to setting up our stock analysis tool. All right, so let me give you a basic example of how Langflow works, and then we'll build out the more complex stock analysis multi-agent flow. So what we're going to do is click on input and output, drag a chat input to your screen, okay? And we'll also drag a chat output to the screen, okay? So basically, if we connect this chat input to the chat output, nothing special, right? Just a basic, whatever we input, it will be outputted. So now how do you test this basic input to output? You click on the play button at the top. That's the playground. Okay. And let me say hello. So notice the input gives me the output. Okay. So let's add our agent in the middle. So I'm going to delete the line here going from input to output. I'm going to go to models and agents, drag an agent to the middle here. Okay. Again, this is nice. Again, no code, right? You will need your API key. So I'm going to paste in my API key here. Again, you can choose different models. I'm going to be using GPT-4o Mini. And again, you can set up your prompt for your agent. All right. Right now, by default, I have you're a helpful assistant that can use tools, answer questions, and perform tasks. Okay. If you want to go into more depth with this agent and fine tune the temperature, the number of max tokens, things like that, notice here at the top you can go to controls. You can set up max tokens. If I turn those on and I turn on the temperature, you'll see that when I hit close, they show up on this agent component block. Temperature here and max tokens. Okay, so I have nothing set up. there, but you can play with that. But this is your basic agent, all right? Again, it can be your news agent, it can be your grocery agent, it can be a database agent, right? So again, the point here is you can drag and drop different components, build a complex AI workflow, host as an API, or have it available as a backend service, okay, without any code. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, you'll notice that different components have different inputs and outputs. They're colored here on the sides, on the edge. So I can drag my chat input to the input to my agent. And then once the agent responds, it'll go to the chat output. Okay, so this is a very basic flow that we can test out. Okay, so I click on play. And notice here I tested that earlier. So you'll see I'm going to ask a question. It's as if you're on ChatGPT or talking to the LLM directly. So we'll say, something simple. How far is the sun from Earth? Okay. All right. Notice as it's running, it's showing you the steps. Okay. And what is a step? Well, that's the agent. Started with the input. Here's my input from the user. Okay. Uh, how far is the sun from Earth? That input gets sent to the agent. So notice the agent is processing, and the output is finally the average distance from Earth is about 93 million miles, and so on. Okay, so you have a basic workflow here with one agent and one input and output. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do for now is rename this agent. Okay, so I'm going to click on the agent component. You'll see a little pencil icon here. I'm going to call this the news analyst. Okay. All right, and what we'll do is add some custom instructions here. So basically, we're going to send in some news, or sorry, a stock input, okay, a stock symbol, and this news agent is going to use different tools to determine any sort of news related to that stock. Okay, so let's remove the default prompt here. Okay, so we're going to give it some instructions. We're going to say you are responsible only for the news. All right. So the more detailed your prompt is, the better your agent's going to run. So we'll say do not provide technical or fundamental mental analysis. Okay. All right. So you are a news analyst specializing in, let's say, stock market news. Okay. So let's break it down to different sections. We'll have the input that the news agent will get. So we'll put in input you receive. We'll include, and here we'll say a stock ticker or company name. Okay. And we'll give it an example so it understands, like Apple. Okay. And then here we'll say possibly a user intent. Okay. And we can say, for example, 3 to 6 month swing trade. Okay. Again, feel free to play around with this, your prompt. So that's the input. So our news agent knows what it's going to receive. Now, what we have to make this agent aware that it has, certain tools at its disposal, right? So you have access to these tools. Okay, Yahoo Finance. Again, feel free to use other APIs or financial platforms that you want to use as a tool feeding into the agent. Okay, and then we'll use the search API as a fallback. All right, let's define the tool usage rules for the news agent. Okay, we'll say prefer Yahoo Finance first. Okay, and we'll say use the SERP search only if the Yahoo Finance returns no usable data. Okay? And we'll say do not, right? Because remember, some of these agents might hallucinate, so we need to fine tune the instructions to keep them constrained. Do not call tools unnecessarily, right? So unnecessarily. Okay. All right. So we have the input, the tools that has the agent has, the usage rules, right? And then let's define some more details for our news agent, right? Okay. So we'll say you must follow this process exactly. All right. One, we'll have the news agent identify the ticker or the company from the input. Okay, that's the user going to input the like Apple or Tesla stock symbol or the company name. Then we'll have the agent call Yahoo Finance, and get the news for that ticker. Okay. If Yahoo Finance returns no results or an empty list, we'll call the search API to find recent news. Okay. And finally, the fourth step will have the news agent extract up to 5 relevant headlines or key points. All right. So once that's defined, we'll mention the output format. Okay. Return only this, no extra commentary. All right. Again, we're just constraining this news agent. All right. So we'll say get us the company or the ticker. Okay. Um, Headline themes. Okay. We'll just say give us maybe 3 to 5 bullet points. Okay. Overall sentiment, market sentiment. Okay. We'll say something like bullish, neutral, or bearish. Again, feel free to refine this. All right, one sentence. So we'll have the news agent or news analyst say one sentence why based on the headlines. Okay. Finally, we'll set up key risks for this news agent, right? Key risks to output. Let me move the mouse here. We'll say give us maybe 3 bullets for key risks. Okay. And then some source notes. And we'll say state maybe which tool returned results. Okay. Yahoo Finance, SERP, or none. Okay. If none returned results, just say no news returned from tools. All right. And finally, the rules. So this is important, right? So we'll tell the news agent do not invent headlines. Okay. All right. So get actual headlines, right? Do not fabricate facts. Okay. Important. If the tools return nothing, say so explicitly. Okay. And finally, keep everything concise. Okay. Keep it concise. All right. So that's the news analyst. So notice I renamed the agent news analyst and I defined a custom prompt here. Okay, again, you can hit if you hit this dot dot dot, you can save. Okay, so everything your agent in this entire workflow will be saved. Okay. Um, and now that we have a news analyst, we can actually test it out by adding some tools. Right. So I'm going to move the chat output over. Move this news analyst over in the middle. And we'll add some tools here. The first one, you can actually search for it. You can say Yahoo, and you'll see a Yahoo Finance component. Okay, notice there's a Yahoo Finance component, and we're going to set this Yahoo Finance tool to tool mode. Okay, all right, and we'll set the data method to get news, and number of news 5. Again, you can play with these. Okay, notice here I can drag this tool Yahoo Finance to the agent's tool set. All right, so remember the news agent is going to go out based on the stock symbol, fetch some news from Yahoo Finance. If Yahoo Finance doesn't get anything, then we'll go ahead and fall back to the SERP API, SERP search API. And add that here. All right, and again, we'll set on tool mode for search API for SERP. I'll move this over a little bit here and move this on right below. Okay. You'll need a search API key. I showed you that in the beginning of the video. You can get free key up to 250 searches, um, 250 searches a month. Okay. I'm going to grab my key here. I believe I had E899. Okay. So I'm going to add this key in here. All right. And go ahead and hit play. So let's test this out. Okay. Oh, we need to connect the SERP search to our news agent. Okay. So let's give this a shot. All right. So I'll hit play here. We'll say Apple. Okay. Let's give it the Apple stock. So notice it's running through the steps here. You can expand that. All right. Okay. So notice news headlines. All right. Let's go back up to the top. So we threw in the chat input, which is Apple, the stock or ticker symbol. Notice here, it attempted Yahoo Finance, but didn't get any data back. Fine. If not, then we'll go to SERP API, search API, and we got some data back. We got some basic output that um, our news agent put together. Company ticker, headline themes, okay. Got the current stock price, market capital, overall sentiment, right? Key risks, and then notice it shows us, as per our prompt instructions, which tool that news agent used. It was SERP. Okay, and we got here's the final output. Okay, so notice it's working, and we built out an agent this quickly without any code, leveraging Yahoo Finance. Okay, again, this is just a get news method. You can leverage it for analysis, balance sheets, cash flows, things like that. Then search API. Okay, and we fed these tools into our news agent, news analyst agent, used a custom prompt for agent instructions, leveraged OpenAI GPT-4o mini model, and provided some output. Okay, so now the goal is to continue on with our agents. We finished the news analyst agent, and then we're going to pass the information on to the technical analyst agent. Okay, so we'll get started with that next. Okay, so now that we have our news analyst agent ready, what I'm going to do is, if you hit the dot, dot, dot on the agent component, you can actually minimize it. I'm going to drag it down here. It's like a straight line. We can actually move these tools to the bottom here. And the Yahoo Finance tools, move that down. Okay, I'll move this chat output up. All right, so now I'm going to delete the line from the news analyst agent to the chat output for time being. And what I'm going to do is click on the news analyst agent and clone it. All right, so you can duplicate it. Okay, so I duplicated that agent. Okay, I'm going to expand it now. Let's go ahead and expand. Okay, so again, I duplicated because I didn't have to repaste the API key and any other settings. Okay, I'm going to rename this agent. So remember, after the news analyst agent runs, it calls it passes information to the technical analyst. Okay, all right, technical analyst. And what I'm going to do is, right now, instead of walking through all that massive prompt, I'm going to delete what's in here and paste in the prompt. Okay, and I'll pass this I'll put all this info in the YouTube description. video description. So let's go over it quickly. The technical analyst. So again, specific instructions. You're responsible only for technical analysis. Do not discuss news or fundamentals beyond brief context. So the input, right? So the user's original request, ticker and intent, a structured news analyst summary. So remember, our news agent is going to pass the news analyst summary to our technical analyst. Okay? Now, the technical analyst will have the same set of tools, Yahoo Finance or a SERP search API. Okay, all right. And then we're going to say identify the ticker company from the input, attempt to pull market or price context using Yahoo Finance. All right, if no price context is returned, you may use SERP search. Okay. Provide a technical style analysis, even if the exact prices are unavailable. Okay. And here's the output format. We got technical read, time horizon, key levels of support resistance. Okay. Setup ideas. All right. Conservative versus aggressive. Some data notes. Okay. And then the rules. Right. So this is very high level, the technical analyst agent. So I'll click on finish editing. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize the technical analyst. Right. Move it. Oh, sorry. Move this a little bit to the right. Let's expand, just to show you high level, let's expand these guys. So we'll expand both agents. Okay, I'll move this up a bit. Okay, so let's move the chat output to the right. This guy here. All right, so remember the output from the news analyst is going to feed the input to the technical analyst. And the technical analyst is going to use the same set of tools. So again, I can drag the Yahoo Finance output to the tools. And same with the SERP search API, drag it there. Okay. So notice we have the shared tools from within both agents. Okay. And then finally, the response will move to the chat output. All right. So next, I'm going to move the chat output over. All right. We're going to delete the line from our technical analyst to the chat output. And what I'll do is I'll clone the technical analyst. So we'll hit clone here. Sorry, and we'll say duplicate. Okay, and start moving these things over. And we're going to rename this from technical analyst to our fundamentals analyst. Okay, so fundamentals analyst. All right, perfect. So again, we're going to change up the prompt or the agent instructions. Okay, and these will be provided again in the video description. So the fundamentals analyst, again, has some rules. Will depend on Yahoo Finance, SERP search API, and then it'll identify, ticker company information, get a business snapshot, fundamental signals, profitability, margins, growth, balance sheet, cash flow. Okay, provide other details, and finally the rules. Okay, so I'll click on finish editing. We'll go ahead and clone the fundamentals analyst and come up with our final agent, which is the chairperson. Okay, so we'll go ahead and duplicate and move this over. Start moving the tools to the bottom here so you guys can see the full picture. Okay, there we go. And our chat output moves over to the right. Okay. Okay. So fundamentals analyst, we're going to rename that guy. And we're going to call this chairperson. Chairperson. Okay. And we'll give it a prompt for the chairperson. Okay. So basically the chairperson gets, summaries from the news analyst, the technical analyst, and the fundamentals analyst, and, gives us a summary. Okay. Finish editing. Again, you'll find these prompts in the video description. Okay, so basically you connect the input to output of all the agents. So the news analyst talks to the technical analyst talks to the fundamentals analyst, and finally the fundamentals analyst talks to the chairperson. Okay, and all four of these analysts, well, sorry, all three of the analysts depend on the tools, right? Yahoo Finance and Search API. So I'll take the output of Yahoo Finance and make sure the fundamentals analyst has it, okay? And same with the Search API. Okay. Um, and Yahoo Finance, we got to make sure that's connected to our technical analyst. All right, so all the analysts have both tools, and the chairperson takes the input summary from all the analysts. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and connect the chairperson to the chat output, and now I can hit play. And let me show you the input prompt I use. It'll say instead of Apple, I'll just put Tesla, TSLA. So I'm considering a 3 to 6 month swing trade, moderate risk. Summarize the current situation and suggest the next step. All right. So let's see how well these agents do. Again, we used a zero code, just tools, and drag and drop of components and agents on Langflow. Again, no code. We didn't write any Python code or any other scripting code. And we have a multi-agent workflow setup that can be hosted as an API. Okay. All right. So we got a final output. Tesla, time horizon 3 to 6 months. Great. Again, has some news. All right. Technical summary, news summary, fundamental summary. All right. Combined view. Okay. Key risks and next best step. All right. Consider entering a long position. Again, I put here educational only. All right. Again, you can use this in the real world. Connect your actual financial platforms as components and tools to get real-time data. Not have to scrape the web or anything. So basic workflow, very simple input output. You don't have to write much code. You can adjust the temperature. For example, the news analyst, I can increase the temperature. Let's say 0.4 to give it some more creativity, right? Randomness, 0.4, and the fundamental analyst 0.4. We can make a chairperson, let's say 0.25. And again, you can set up max tokens. Let's say I put in 600, 600, 600, and let's put 600 for all the agents. Go ahead and run this again. And I'll go ahead and use the same input. Okay, and let's see how that changes the output based on temperature and max tokens. Okay, and then I'll show you how to host as an API and test it out using Postman, or you can develop a backend application that has a custom UI for your users, and your users are now seamlessly working with multi-agent systems without any code. All right, so the process is running. Again, we control the temperature and the tokens, so we might get more thinking involved, right, from the agents as well. All right, there we go. Get a new summary, technical summary, fundamental summary, combined view, and some key risks, right? So again, you'll see all the details of all your inputs and outputs, all the agents running, and this should be a good start to low code, no code multi-agent systems using Langflow. All right. So now what I can do is you can click on share, and notice you can export this, so you can import it back later, or share it with your colleagues or friends. You can embed this into a site, so that's nice. You can have this drag and drop directly into your web application. If you click on API access, notice here it tells you your API key. Okay. um, a URL, and you would need the API key. I'll show you how to generate that on Langflow. But here's a remember, this Langflow is running on localhost on port 7860, so the API v1 is available. It'll take an input, right, and give an output. Okay, it'll run all the agents and give an output. So again, this Python, you can take the curl, right, add the headers, and I'll show you how that works now. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this URL. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up Postman. Okay, so I'll open up Postman. Okay, so I'm using Postman. Again, you can use curl to test the API call. But notice here, I have Postman. I'm going to paste that URL in. Okay. If you look at the headers, you'll need the content type as application JSON and the X API key. And I'll show you where to get that API key from. Okay. Basically, if you head into your settings, you should see Langflow API keys here, and you can add a new API key. Okay. Once you get the key, make sure to copy it, right? And if you head over to Postman, notice I can start to put an input value. So again, you can put like something like, let's take the one from our run there. Let's go back, go to our playground, and take this input. Okay, head back over to Postman, and here's my input value. That's just the prompt, the input prompt. All right, and again, you can put like a correlation ID for your session ID, but this is a basic API call. So notice if I hit send, okay, oh, need the API key for this. So let's generate a new one. I'm sorry, that one didn't work. Let's go back into settings on Langflow, go to Langflow API keys, add a new key, and description, we'll just say stock analysis, generate API key, I'll copy that, head back over to Postman, go to the headers, paste that in, okay, and let's hit send. All right, there we go. It looks like it took that key. So it's taking my input, okay, and running our multi-agent no-code flow, but it's exposed through an API. All right. So again, this API can be made available to your web application if you have one, where the user can have a custom prompt where they can input their chat, they can pull up news, whatever your custom web application is. So basically, that you take the input from the user and feed it in your backend and call your localhost Langflow workflow. Okay. So while this is running, again, you can have a background process that's running this right asynchronously. Okay. And I'll probably do another video on showing you guys how to do that. But notice here, we got the results. We got all the agents running, right? You got the final outputs. Again, it's exposed as JSON. Nice. You can extract this JSON and present it to your users, format it, transform it, and send it back to the UI, right? So again, you see, I didn't have to write a single line of code. I had to massage the prompts, fine, but this is a quick way to ship out workflows with custom tools, right? And custom components that you can add, and just connect inputs and outputs. All right, drag and drop. Okay, so you can even name this. We'll just call it our, a no code stock analysis multi-agent flow.